The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Hope you're doing well. It's a beautiful day here in Michigan, and we are here for another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. Today, I'm very excited to bring on Eric Weber, who I'll bring in just a moment here. Eric is a marketing expert, marketing guru, the marketing god of Mindmatrix. And I'm probably embarrassing Eric a little bit, but hey, it's fun, right? So, but he's definitely a rock star, and we've had some great conversations. One of our first episodes, we talked about the growth stack. As we all know, there is the technology stack that we focus on, but which is a lesser known thing that Eric has coined as growth stack, which is so critical in helping us scale our companies. Our second episode that we had recorded, just a few months ago was focused on the top of the funnel with lead generation and business development. And today we're going to focus more on that nurturement and turning those into opportunities. And without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Eric Weber. How you doing, brother?
Hey, Dan, doing pretty good. And yourself today?
I'm doing good. How'd you like that intro?
I did. I liked it. That was pretty good. I felt like, pumped up, ready to go here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we got you all set. And we are, we're going to kick off a new year very soon here. Right. And, it's back to the basics time. I'm sorry.
It just goes by quickly.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was just January 1st and we're about to start all over again, which is great. Yeah. I mean, we get to start all over. It's a clean slate. I always love, the change in seasons, but also the beginning of the year because, we can get back to the basics and there's a lot of things that we need to focus on and refresh, right?
Yeah, everybody gets a hard reset. We all need it from time to time. So it's a good, always a good place to begin.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that we really want to focus on today is just some of those key practices, those best practices for nurturing the top of the funnel. One of the things that we want to talk about is one of the key takeaways is that your clients are trying to find you. And, there's that good old saying of out of sight, out of mind. I mean, if they don't know who you are, they can't reach you. They're not going to call you.
If the tree falls in the woods, the old adage there.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing too is let's look at it a little bit differently. Let's look at our own clients. Have there been times, and hopefully they're far and few in between, but have there been times where all of a sudden a client calls, and just as an example, and they're like, hey, I'm going to have so-and-so call you. They're with a company that does VoIP services. We're going to switch over to them. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. And they're like, and you're like, we sell phone systems, and, they didn't even know you sold VoIP solutions, and they're calling and reaching out to someone else. There's a problem there, right? There's a messaging problem, a communications problem. And in
especially
those type of
clients, if it's somebody in the ether, I can understand that a bit, but in-house.
Right. Exactly. And, so it's bad enough in those scenarios. Like you said, it's your own client, but then think about the whole universe. And when I say universe, I'm talking about your own geographical market, right? And if someone in your own market isn't aware of, who you are and what you do,
you gotta do a better job.
How do you expect them to reach out to you?
You can't.
You can't.
And just back to where you said the out of sight, out of mind. When I would go to a lot of trade shows, I see all kind of fancy swag and this and that and the other. And, our owner's not real big on swag, and I get it. It's just stuff you're going to throw away there. So I'm like, if you have to have it, have something that's useful. And back to the out of sight, out of mind. Who doesn't use sticky pads? I have a gazillion of these things because I always want it sitting right on my desk in eyeshot.
Right.
If we're going to get something that's useful, but also something that is visible and within a 3-foot radius.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know if it works. I like to think that it does, but
well, interesting. Different industry, but there's a an auto glass replacement company that's a husband and wife owned in my market that they go door to door, and one of the things they leave behind are notepads like that, those sticky notepads. And it's got their logo on it, and they do a little bit larger package, so it's going to last you a while.
Yeah.
But by the time that you run out, they're doing a circle around again, and they're giving you another one. And
you always know.
You always know. And who are you going to call when your windshield breaks? I mean, it's right there. You don't forget, top of mind.
Yeah, honey, where's that notepad at or something? I mean, that conversation happens.
Yeah, and I mean, we've done scenarios where we've done door knocking, and we've knocked, we've left some materials behind, and at first you're like, man, I don't know that the return on this is all that great. And then all of a sudden, after a period of time, the phone's ringing and they're like, oh yeah, you guys were here last year sometime. And, we are in a business that, it's not transactional. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to switch my IT company tomorrow. And, it's
build up.
Yeah. Yeah. So when the time is right, what I always say to prospective clients is, we're not going anywhere. We're here for you. We've been around for X number of years. When the time is right, we're here for you. And so just remember. Yeah. So, as we get started, let's start with the basics. What should an MSP do first?
Well, kind of going back to, and you brought this up at the beginning here with the other podcasts, in relation to the growth stack, who are ICPs. And then we got to stay in front of them with the relevant information. And then we got to reach out to them, in the final one. We're going to focus on that middle part here today. But again, even going back to the previous one, that first question, who's your ICP? What is your ideal client profile? Who are we targeting? And then, the other ways that you can get in there to find them. But all your messaging and everything, it's going to center around that a bit because, obviously getting everything out there with Google SEO, you want to attract the right ICP to you. And also, too, if let's say they're having an issue like, I got ransomware or cyber issues or whatnot, you got to make sure that they're finding you in that regards as well, too. So it's a two-way street on the both. But once you understand that ideal client profile, we're going after, just for easiness, let's say attorneys, in professional services, CPAs or whatnot there, with a certain size. And it's also important to know what's the size of the pie. Are there a potential 30,000 prospects in our area that we could use, or maybe there are 3 and we need to expand our ICP a little bit.
Okay.
So, but once we have all of that down, we know what the piece of the pie is. Now we got to get into that middle part of the funnel. We got to get in touch with these people. We got to let them know who we are, how we're relevant, what we can do, what kind of value there is, and make it easy for them to find us. So this is where you got to start to get into some of the tool sets now, a marketing automation engine, social media automation, blog automation, landing pages, because part of it's looking the part. Think about the curb appeal, but digitally. If you're going to go buy a house and you pull up to the place and, maybe there's some blinds that are hanging down, the shrubs aren't cut, they forgot to weed eat. It's kind of like, maybe it has good bones in it,
Right.
You go to a place where it's nice and manicured, everything looks pristine and proper. You're like, oh, I'm going to go in and look at this, and it might be a piece of crap inside.
Yep.
But again, you got to get them to the curb, before you can get to the next place. So looking the part is crucial there. So getting into the website for one, when you go onto the front page, without even having to scroll, I should know what you do right out of the gate. simple and
Right.
easy. Managed IT services for small businesses, or cybersecurity help, or whatever it is, just so that they get it clear as day. Having landing pages on there, having a blog, a resource center. You want to look like a Fortune 500 company to everybody, because when they're coming to you, they want to see that you got the brawn and you can help them with all of their needs. You want to give them that warm and fuzzy feeling. That's the idea there.
Yep.
So looking that part with having everything else go into it, if I want to download some information or check some other things out, like it's all got to be right there. It's got to be easy to navigate. But you got to feed it all of this stuff as well, too. Hence coming back to the tool sets.
Well, what I like to say in these cases is, when it comes to that branding and when they're coming to your site, I mean, you want to have the look of a national organization, but the feel of a local business. And so you want to have that mix. And now I think, you win them by, first off, them looking and seeing it's neat, it's clean, I can understand what they're doing. Like you said, as soon as they hit that page, they feel that. Now, granted, they might not realize that you have the feel of the local business until they engage with you. But, it is that initial first impression that, they're going to look and see. I mean, I there's millions of times that I go to a site and just the first look, I'm like, I'm out of here. This is not, it's like driving into a shady area of town, a sketchy area.
Yeah, it's the perception. It's reality.
Right.
It really is.
Yeah.
Remember, that was my first boss I ever had on my first day, my first job after college. That's what she said. She's like, perception's reality. The more you can bend it to there, the better you'll do. And I'm like, that always stuck with me.
Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, when you're getting into that tool space there, and I know we talked about this on a prior one, but there are 4.48 billion email users today, back from 2.4 billion 10 years ago. So even though it is the most mundane of them all, it is still the biggest.
Right.
Everybody's looking away. How do we get through with a PPC or this or that? What's the next new little thing we can get there?
Yeah.
Bread and butter still works. It does.
Right.
I imagine it will 5 years from now too. Because everybody has their email open on one of their multiple screens per day because they have to, for every other thing. So it's like having the mailbox on your door, right by your desk. Why wouldn't you use it?
Yeah. And you got to be creative too, right? With those subject lines, you want it to be something that's going to capture their attention and get them to want to open it because, they are busy
right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you do as well as I do. I probably get 30 or 40 of them a day. I look at the sender and the subject line. If it's relevant, I'll check it out. If it's not, I'll delete it. But that's the first step in it right there, the subject.
Yeah. So, talking about tools, in technologies, let's talk about, what kind of tools are out there and will you need tools essentially to make this happen? I mean, let's face it, we live in a world of, technology tools that allows us to deliver our products and services to our clients. But in order to acquire products, our clients that need our products and services, I mean, there's a stack, and there's tools available to be able to help us do it efficiently and effectively. Can we talk a little bit about that from that perspective?
Yeah, I think the first thing that you should start off with is a marketing automation engine. And there's a bunch of them out there in varying different levels. You can go on some of the kind of less expensive ones like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact to kind of dip your toes in the water a little bit.
Sure.
You have ones that are enterprise level, Marketo, stuff like that, which probably don't think you need at the moment. HubSpot's very popular. Obviously we do it as well too. There's a bunch of companies out there, that have the marketing automation engines there. If you want to dip your toes in a little bit, then the MailChimp and the Constant Contact are usually a good way. But when getting into the more drip campaign and some of the other facets, the lead scoring, A/B testing, things for a real type automation engine. That's where you get into somewhere like us or, HubSpot or any of the tools in the upper echelon there. But also
Now
too,
I was going to say, as we're talking about, the different tools, you can start out with something like a MailChimp, or you can, you go from A to Z, but not all of them are created equally. Now you guys, I would have to assume, are, very narrowly focused into how it's going to have an impact on managed service providers, right?
Yeah, because we have content as well too with it, so we're able to get a little more insight
Yeah.
into that. But no, what I was going to say was when you get into more of like the drippability, A/B testing, those pieces within the reporting, there are other things you can automate. Social media is a big one of them. The blog is a big one. So I would try to see how can we get all of this in one place. That way you're not
Okay.
having 3 different platforms or you're replatforming in a year. So that's why I say if
Right.
you want to dip your feet a little bit first with something, maybe a month or two, great, just to kind of get the idea. But ultimately, you want to think a little bit further, like, all right, hey, 12 to 18 months, what am I going to need on this? What other automations are out there? Because consolidating as much as you can in one place, it's always easy at the end of the day. There's less to deal
Yep.
with, less things break, less people to work with. You keep it tight.
Yep.
But the more multiple automations you can get in one place, the better then, because now you're hitting people in a bunch of different places, different times of the day. Now you have an omni-channel, approach here. Now, another thing that is important on this is kind of having like a content map, so to speak. So you have all the automations, you're sending information out to people. What are you sending them? That's clutch.
Yep.
So with something like a content map, again, going back to the ICP, we're looking at attorneys, or with the cyber security focus. That's when you want to get all your content together. Have it in a single repository. What pieces go with what types of clients? If I'm sending, focus on attorneys with cybersecurity, and here I am sending out help desk stuff or this, that, and the other, you want to keep it to what they're interested in, or they're not going to respond, and you're just sending stuff to send it, for the
Right.
sake of doing it. So I'm more of a quality over quantity type of a person. I don't need thousands of contacts in there. I'd rather have good contacts in there that I can focus on getting the right material around, because then
Right.
I know that company is one that I want to have as a business. It's
Yep.
worth spending the extra time then. So you're getting the right type of clients that you want. It just makes more of an efficient flow to it.
Yeah, and you're spending money, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
costing you time and money to be able to push things out. Some might say, well, hey, it's just an email, it's not costing anything. But it
Mhm.
costs you if they don't fit your ideal client profile and you're marketing to them, and maybe they do reach out to you, and then all of a sudden, after some discussion, because it's easy for us to be hungry and say, hey, someone's interested. They want to talk to me. But if they're not your ICP, then why waste the time?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And if you do, lose quick. If you know it's not
Yeah.
going anywhere, lose quick. Maybe you can
Yeah.
refer them somewhere. If there's something I can't do, I'll try to help them out if I can. Like, hey, maybe check these guys out. Because then maybe who knows in the future? They're like, yeah, that guy was helpful. Maybe they'll send somebody back to me.
Right.
You never know. I always try to get the best result I can from a call, even if it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, with what you said, back to when they get the email and what they say, like I'll get somewhere. I don't think people did their homework beforehand. It's like, hey, Eric is an
Right.
MSP. I'm like, well, we're not an MSP, or
Yeah.
hey, is the director of sales, we have sales enablement tools. I'm like, well, we sell that stuff. I'm like, did you not do anything before? And I'm like, you're dead out of the water. It's like I'm not even
Right.
gonna look at you anymore. It's like,
Yep.
think a little bit. And when you are getting into high numbers, that can happen. Some falls into a
Sure.
different bucket or whatnot.
Right.
But when you're taking the approach from I really want to focus on my ICP, so one, you should only be putting quality people in there to begin with.
Yep.
That way you're taking a much more white-gloved approach to it. And really, the biggest challenge of this all, especially in the beginning, is time. Because it is manual, you got to think a little bit more about something that might not necessarily be your wheelhouse. But if you take that extra time in the beginning to get it going, my God, does it pay dividends later on?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where 3-4 months in, like all this crap that everything they said, I'm not seeing anything, you're going to pull your hair out, and then, oh, hey, phone rang here. An email came in. Or it's like, holy crap, it does work.
Yeah.
That aha moment. And it's beautiful when it happens. And it's different for everybody. I mean, it's taking me 4 months sometimes, 6 months, 8 months, sooner the better, but you have to put that in or it's not going to yield anything down the road. There's no magic finger snap. If there was, I would have found it and I'd be charging out the wazoo for it.
Yeah. But when when it happens and it works, all of a sudden, it's like, it's just amazing. It's just,
you feel so good inside too. It's just like,
right.
Future, it's like there's hope.
Yep.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, once it's working and then you're like, okay, what did I do? Then you're trying to pinpoint, right? Okay, what just happened here? Because I need to replicate that over and over again.
Yeah. And then another way for this, actually, I was going to say something else, but this would be good to get in before that. Knowing when to reach out to them. Okay. Sorry, we got some bites here. Things are good. We got smiles all around. What do we do next? So necessarily, you don't want to reach out to everybody at every time. If someone just opened an email, that's great. I'm not going to call you. If you open 50 of them, yeah, I'm going to give you a buzz. So we need to score these contacts appropriately. What metrics do we want to look at? Email opens. Are they clicking on anything in there? Have they visited my website? What are they looking at there? How often do they go to? Are they downloading anything from it? So we want to see what our core metrics are. And those are pretty much the basic ones right there. Well, the ones that we do anyway.
Well, I just want to jump in if you don't mind. Some of the stats I love looking at is like number of emails sent, number of emails opened, and also the click rate. I mean, if you sent them 351 messages or emails and they've opened 348, you're just like, holy cow, this person is engaged, right? Versus someone that, get 351 and they've opened 10,
Yeah, and also too, using that example, if they've opened 349 to 350, but that's all they do, maybe they just enjoy your information. But if they start going back to that email and they open it up a couple more times, or maybe they clicked on the link from that email that then led to your website, now maybe you've hit a pain point of theirs.
Yes.
When they've just been opening every day, it's like, oh, he sends me cool stuff. Yep, that looks good. Done. Moving on with my day. Now there's an issue. That's where the scoring model comes into play.
Okay.
Because the score is going to start to rise then because now you have other metrics involved with it. And the more they keep doing it, the more that score is going to rise. So what we'll do is we'll set triggers when a contact level reaches a certain score or if a certain activity is performed, such as downloading an e-guide or whatnot.
Okay.
I mean, we can activate any activity for that, but most common one. That's when you want to reach out to them.
Is the scoring all built into Mindmatrix?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can change evaluations for all the metrics. Usually, if like an email open, that's the most common. It gets the least. Versus like a form fill out, that's the gold standard. When somebody willingly just seeks you out and gives you their info, like they're ready. They have an issue that needs solved now. Those have the best conversions. But we also have a depreciation factor built into it. So let's say you do have a hot lead and I don't do anything for 3 months. My score is going to fall. That way you usually have a good accounting as to who's our best of the bunch. Might not be perfect, but better than, not having a score with anybody.
Right.
But one of the biggest kickers is you have a real hot lead now. You see what they're interested in. What do? We got to get them on the phone. See, is there an actual opportunity here? We got to figure out that band. Do they have a budget for it, or are they the decision maker? What's their time frames or an actual need here, to determine if it's a real opportunity. And that's where, if you're not using something like a playbook, a couple basic responses. Like, hey, sorry, you're looking out here, and type it up manually too if there's not a lot. We don't want to auto respond these type of things. We want to let them know that small town feel, but with the national resources. But you want to get that appointment as fast as you can. I just call, hey, let's meet. No need to have a big thing over the phones, especially if they're local. Let's go grab a coffee. Tell me your issues. It's on me. Simple stuff like that, or go to their office even. They're on their home turf. It makes them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Versus bringing them to yours where they might be out of their element. And
plus there's so much you can, learn from their environment being there, right? They might want to give you a tour, show you, their network room. You can see, as you're walking through, you might hear about pain points. New
ones might pop up. Or they even know new ones might pop up. You might see something they didn't know was a problem.
Right.
Like fire hazard waiting to happen, or they look at the network room or anything there.
Yeah, you hear, as you're walking through and they're introducing, they might say, hey, this is so and so with XYZ MSP, and they're here to learn more about our environment. And that end user might say, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe what I just went through today. I mean, that is golden. You can't get that, without
if you're on a Zoom call, I'm only knowing what you're telling me versus I can see what you have set up. Just like when you go to a website, it's like, yep, I'm hitting the back button. Like, if this is the way it is, everything else is probably like that too. So by going there, it kind of gives you a little bit of an idea, what kind of people we're working with, how do I approach this, from a sales mentality. And the more info you can have, always the better. Because that's how you make the best decisions.
So what kind of content is relevant for all of this?
Basic stuff. You don't have to go into the weeds too far with this, because anybody who is looking for or needs an MSP, they don't care what the DSXL4, updated Gen 2 server can do. They don't even know what that is.
Right.
Just like, do you have something that can fix this problem? Great. Whatever you use for it, I don't care. You're the professional.
Would you say it's fair?
Educational level.
Would you say it's fair that as MSPs we often talk too much and we go too far initially?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's funny. One of my colleagues, he brought this up on a call. He goes, sometimes I try to be the dumbest person in the room. He's like, just simple, keep the conversation simple. Don't go into the weeds too far, because you have a better chance of uncovering what you need. So the MSP is like, all right, well, you having issues? Yeah, it's security, or I get all these bad links for this or that to there. It's like, okay, we can help you out, with some software, some whatever it might need, but just keep it on a very, very high level. They don't need all the nitty gritty within that. The same with the content, informational, educational, keep it short, just get the clear idea across, fifth grader terms.
Because we're proud of what we do. We're proud of the tool set we have. We're proud of, the capabilities, and we want to scream it to them.
Yeah,
right?
And they're quite amazing too. There's some really cool stuff out there, that you could tell was like, man, a lot of thought went into this and a lot of effort too to be able to do what it does.
Well, we can lose them. We can lose them at the same time if we go too deep.
It's the hardest thing. The best thing would be once you get in and you win it and then it's all done, then show off. It's like, hey, by the way, it does all this stuff too. It's like, oh, great, I got that. That's wonderful. Now you got the warm and fuzzy feeling.
Exactly.
It's it's what we want with every client at the end of the day. Let them just sit there and feel happy, because then we're happy.
So we stay high level. We stay, at a level that's going to resonate to them, that they see this can help, help solve the pain point that I have. And we, try not to go too much deeper than that.
Simple, easy content going out to the right people, through multiple different channels, and then reaching out to the best of the bunch there. This very simple, basic, let's get a meeting. And I think a lot of times people overthink this. And at the end of the day, it's about content and consistency. That's it. And again, that's why TV commercials are still relevant. Little snippets of content on a consistent basis, or they wouldn't do it.
Too, think about billboards, using that as an analogy where, you're driving 65, 75, 80 miles an hour down a road, and you're going past a billboard, that needs to be so high level and so effective in order to see a return on that. Similar in that regard too, because, our clients are busy, our prospects are busy, and they're moving and grooving, and we need to capture them in a very split second, right?
Yeah, just thinking of the billboard, heard at work, simple stuff like that.
Yeah. So let's talk about taking it to the next step as we wrap things up here. When we take a look at our internal teams and how they prepare for this, getting alignment with sales and marketing to be on the same page. And, and I guess when I say sales and marketing, our audience is going to be a mix of those aspiring, the growing, and mature MSPs. So it's a wide range. And, on the aspiring and the growing side, or maybe the first half of the growing side, the sales and marketing may be, one individual. As organizations grow and scale, there's going to be departments and or multiple people that are involved in that. So in all regards, though, we got to make sure that we're on the same page as far as expectations and what to look for, right?
Yeah, and those two groups there, I mean, that's pretty much where I see most of them fitting into. And definitely for the smaller ones, like even if you're a one person shop, like that's tough because you're doing everything, and this is usually the last thing you want to do. But at that point, it's more about awareness, just getting the word out, letting know people, hey, I'm here. Here's how I'm relevant. And obviously, as a one person shop, you got to do what you can when you can. Eventually, hopefully, be able to get number 2 and 3 in there to take a little work off of your plate. But yeah, it's just it's all about awareness at that point and just trying to get some consistency going. And that's where automation tools can really help out a lot. We have one for the smaller ones, and really the bulk of their time is spent trying to find more people to stick into the thing. It's going to run itself, in the background. So you're not going to have to put any time into that. Except for when it tells them like, hey, there's a hot one, go reach out to them. But yeah, for the smallest ones, it's about feeding that pipe and just getting the awareness. Now, for the more mature ones where, maybe they do have a marketing person, they have a couple salespeople, it's important that they know each what is responsible for. Sometimes, especially in a small business, there is overlap with a lot of that. I'll go look for people here, come up with a business development idea, but I know that's not my lane. So if there's anything bigger, I hand it off. And same with the sales. They'll try and do that. If it's bigger, they'll come to me or whatnot. So we want to make sure that it's very clearly defined there. What is marketing responsible for? Are they coming up with the content, or is sales put a little bit of that in there too? Are they working on it together? Because the more in sync both sides are together, I mean, the more efficient it's going to grow. And that took us a little while here to get some things cooking because, a couple of years ago, we were kind of do a little bit of this, that, and the other. I'm like, we need clear defined things here. So, and that's where we all kind of backed off. So I did a little more marketing, some biz stuff, but now I'm more sales focused. We just had to get back to our rules more. And it's easy to get away from it sometimes. You'll start doing something like, oh, hey, this is kind of cool. And it's a good business development idea. And it's like, you forgot about your sales stuff. You still got to bring some revenue in the door here. So it's
I mean, I think
easy
there
to
is
get off track.
I mean, I think there's a misconception with some that, sales and marketing are the same thing, and they're not. They're two different, very, very different functions.
Yeah, from what I've understood, marketing's job is to kind of get it up into the forefront. Sales is to close it. bring it home.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And even if you are, in those large organizations, there are going to be separate functions, but in those that, it might be one person handling both aspects of it. The mindset needs to be separate.
Yeah,
The mindset needs to be that these are two separate functions, and you're wearing two different hats. And if you mix them together and think they're all in this, they're all in one, then you're not going to be as effective when you're trying to deliver.
exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up here, end of year, of course, every organization's like, hey, we've got some great end of year, promotions. Do
Yep.
you guys have something for our audience, as far as an end of year promotion that they could take advantage of?
Yeah, absolutely. Typical 10% off the licensing, and then for the intro program, which is usually 2,400 on a 6 month, I'm just taking that one down to an even $2,000.
Okay, nice.
So more than 10%, whatever. I don't know, whatever the percentage is off there. It's just going from 24 down to 2.
Right.
Still the setup on it at 350, but saves you $400.
Okay. Very good.
And we can have a start and bill up to 30 days. So as long as it's in by the 31st, they don't have to rush the next week. They can start anytime in January.
Oh, nice. Makes it even
That way you
easier.
get to have your cake and eat it.
There you go. So where should people reach out to be able to learn more about Mindmatrix and that special offer?
Yeah, you can go to mspadvantageprogram.com. It'll be up on everything MSP as well too, or just reach out to me, eric.weber at mindmatrix.net.
Okay.
One B and Weber.
1B. Any parting words for our audience as we head out here?
I do. So roughly about 60% of your clients, they've done research before they even started looking for you. So make sure you're out there because they're looking.
There you
The more
go.
they can find out there, the better chance to convert when you have a phone call with them then.
There you go. Excellent.
There's so much out there in the ether today now that we don't want to start from ground zero when we have that initial conversation. It just slows things down. If you can hit the ground running with it, that's the key.
And you don't want to be in a position where you run into someone and they're like, hey, we just switched over to someone 2 weeks ago, right?
That happened to me a couple weeks back. They're like, oh, man, if we had this conversation a month ago. And I'm like, I appreciate it, but
it hurts. It hurts.
It does.
But it's just
crazy,
a reminder.
They called me back one time. I'm like, one of our BDRs set up an appointment. I'm like, oh. First I'm thinking like, all right, this didn't go right. Opportunity for me, but they're going to be in a real bad mood because like it just went horribly wrong. So, but they're like, no, we got it in. I'm like, I was just curious about this. I'm like, call you back though, man. I appreciate it. So like,
yeah. That's
timing's everything.
Yeah. All right, Eric. I always appreciate our conversations, and wish you the best of holidays. And everybody out there listening, thank you so much for your time. Until next time, we will talk to everyone later. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks so much, Dan. Happy holidays to everybody. Always a pleasure hanging out with you.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.